Hey, it's Jason Isaacs. You're listening to It's Eric Nagel, and I would if I was you.
Back here on the floor of New York Comic Con 2017 at the Jacob Javits Center here in Midtown Manhattan. It's Eric Nagel. That is me. That is Giddles, and that is Big Kev from Big Kev's Geek Stuff. We're doing the crossovers like we tend to do when these conventions are around. Thank you so much again to everybody at Funko. The WWE was real cool. Zack Ryder was awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was really cool.
You could just tell, like, you could tell, one, how tired he was, but two, like, he just went and signed all those pops for the fans. So if you were going there to get the Zack Ryder exclusive pop, you had no idea that he signed it.
Yep.
And that's a cool little bonus for fans that they went out there. And then, you see the Instagram blow up saying how great Zack Ryder is. And it's always good when celebrities have merchandise out, when they can do little things like that. That's all it takes.
Yep.
To just be a good person and do some things for the fans, and then you have them for life because you've done stuff like that. Going around the floor, we're doing mostly merchandising today on this show. I'm trying to think when I took my nephew shopping for his birthday. We went over to 13th Floor. You know that you're familiar with them, Kevin, right?
They do incredible combination art, photography art.
Yeah.
It's like history, sci-fi mashups.
Yeah,
you see a lot of World War II photos and Vietnam War photos with Star Wars mixed into that. It wasn't like a grayscale. What is it, Cayenne or not Cayenne? It starts with a C.
Chroma?
Where it looks like old-time kinescope style stuff.
I can't remember.
Where they take these old press these old wartime journal photos, and they work their magic and put in, like, you see World War II troops hopping over a bunker as they're running onto the battlefield, and in the distance you see AT-ATs.
Yep.
Like they're attacking, but it looks like this was the photo.
Right.
A bunch of like stormtroopers like at the flag of Iwo Jima and stuff like that. Like,
right.
Interesting things.
And there's the one with North Vietnamese soldiers where there's somebody like a prisoner surrounded, and they all got the bayonets and the for lack of a better term, the spears all around this guy's head, and it's a stormtrooper.
Yeah.
It's taking horrific images and making it something else, so it's less horrific. So we went over there and bought a bunch of prints for him. We went over to Image, like we said the last time, and that's where we ran into the Weekend, and we got him the brand new Lucille, the new version of Lucille,
right?
Which is called the what, Giddles?
They take it like a champ edition.
Right. So before Negan was introduced, they put out their official Lucille, which is the bat with the barbed wire around it. And when I say official, this was the one to get, because other people had licenses, but they were foam rubber. They were shitty looking.
Terrible.
Right. This was, and it has some weight to it. It feels like this is a real thing.
Right.
So we went and got that. Now that we're in we're in the world of Negan as far as The Walking Dead is concerned, they have the post premiere edition of the bat, where it's got it's fully soiled in blood.
A bit of Glenn on it.
A little
bit,
some red hairs from Abraham. It's all in there. So we went and picked that up, and that was really cool. Again, nice, heavy. It feels like something real. It doesn't feel cheap. Definitely worth the value of what it costs.
Nice.
I'm trying to think what else we went there. We did Zen Monkey Studios. We got shirts. We went down to Artist Alley. And there was this artist. I have this Doctor Who t-shirt where it's the TARDIS, but it looks like it's materializing in kind of almost like the effect they do on the teleporter for the new Star Trek?
Yeah.
It sort of looks like that prism of color, right?
Right.
It's like it's materializing into the prism of color. And I had that shirt for years. Then I see on Twitter that Peter Capaldi's here for Doctor Who.
Yeah.
He just walked down to Artist Alley, and that was the only person he was looking for. He went down and talked to this lady who almost didn't make it to the show. I forgot the reason why, but he went to her booth, sought her out specifically, sat at her booth, signed one of her art pieces of him, a nice profile that she did. He signed one to her, and then sat there for a little while as she was selling these things and signing them for fans.
Wow.
It was really cool. I'm trying to find her name here, if you can bear with me for just a moment. I know her name is Alice. Any of you art fans are probably screaming and knowing exactly what I'm talking about here. But her Twitter handle is AliceXZ. But anyway, she also did this great print for Black Mirror of San Junipero.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Isn't that right?
Oh, nice,
right?
Yeah.
So I went down there, I sought her out, I talked to her a little bit about meeting Capaldi. She was still freaked out about how great it was. It got her a lot of attention, obviously it would. And I bought the print that I had for the shirt. I actually got a nice print that I can actually frame nicely and hang up on a wall somewhere. So Artist Alley was pretty cool. And, DMC was down there, ran into him.
Right.
He's down there having a good time. And there's a lot of great stuff. Anything you're a fan of, you could probably find it here. There's even sports stuff here. There's guys that are selling sports collectibles on the other side of the con there. So if you're looking for jerseys, if you're looking for plaques commemorating certain events in sports history, stuff like that, they got everything here, and even at New York Comic Con. But let's get to the big guest.
Oh my.
That was an exclusive here at the Big Kev's Geek Stuff booth. Mr. Rob Paulsen.
Yes, what a pleasure.
What a gentleman. He came over when he had some free time, and he wanted to stay until we were done. He wasn't in a rush to leave, or it's like, look, I can only do 10 minutes. We did about 45 minutes with this guy.
And amazing, it doesn't seem like 45 minutes when you're having a conversation with Rob Paulsen.
No. As we said at the beginning of the show, he's right up there on the Mount Rushmore of voice actors, up there with Billy West, up there with Mel Blanc. And properties such as Animaniacs, Pinky and the Brain, Ninja Turtles. He just did a bunch of stuff for Rick and Morty. Like, he's involved in everything. And we got a chance to talk to this gentleman. It was a real honor. We talked to him about the big Animaniacs live tour that's going around, his podcast, and some other projects he might be working on.
Talking crap about Kevin Conroy.
Yes. He had some things to say about Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman from the animated series, and then other animated Batman projects that they put out. Because when it comes to Batman, look, you can have your Michael Keaton, you can have your Adam West, depending on your generation.
Sure.
But everyone, as far as the animation world is concerned, there is only one Batman, and that is Kevin Conroy.
Absolutely.
Just like there is only one animated Joker, and that is Mark Hamill.
Absolutely.
Yep. So let's talk to Rob Paulsen. He comes by to the booth here. Look, there's very few people I'll fanboy out on, but when you know somebody so well, know their work, and it transcends just being a fan, it becomes like you admire this guy, and you don't know how to describe it anymore. It's like this guy does everything, and a lot of his properties were such a big part of your life. Like, how do you even express that to this guy? It's like, it's really, you can't.
I think you did a good job, Eric, and I think he appreciated it.
Kevin did a great job there, too. This is pre-voice crackling.
I still had a voice.
He still had a voice in this one. So it's like we're time traveling, if you will. I don't know if this guy's trying to be David Tennant or he's just thinking he's suave and he's not really.
That guy there?
Walking past here in the
I thought it was like a weirdo Ted Cruz. That smile.
That's
what it is. It might
be
the actual Ted Cruz.
It might actually be Ted Cruz.
He thought this was the expo with the XXX that usually happens at the center in Edison.
Yeah, exactly.
He's at the wrong place.
Whoops.
That's not this weekend, is it?
No, it's coming up in November, I think.
Cool.
Maybe we should go out there. Was there anything to do at the Triple Expo?
Quite a few things, as I understand it.
I feel like we should do coverage.
Stuff,
we should get a press pass.
All right, let's get a press pass. There's got to be something we could do out there.
I went once.
Porn stars are fucking boring. There really is nothing.
Depends.
Good. Really?
You have to get the right one.
All right.
There are a few.
We'll figure it out. Maybe we'll go. Who knows? But anyway, that's not important. We don't need to go into that when we're talking to Rob Paulsen.
No, of course.
So let's go to that, and then we'll see you on the other side. Continuing on the floor for New York Comic Con 2017, Eric, and Big Kev's joining me for this one because this is one of our all-time favorite guests. Mr. Rob Paulsen is back on the show. Hello.
Thanks so much, Eric. It's a pleasure.
Do you ever get tired of talking to the same shows over and over?
Nope. Just as we said before we started recording, it never gets old, and it sounds. And by the way, to those of you who have heard me speak before, and due to the kindness of these guys and others, it is not contrived modesty.
Right.
I really do feel very fortunate that you guys want to talk with me about anything, and to the extent that I've gotten to a place in my career where I'm interesting enough. Right. That is a big deal, and if you guys have heard me say this before,
hang on, let me interrupt you.
You're not
at a place now where you're interesting enough. You can go back 20 years and you were still interesting enough.
Thank you. And honest to God, it means a lot. With as many people as you can talk about. No, it's hard not to here. But with as many people as you can talk to, it's very kind of you to take the time to chat with me again.
No, and at this point, it's Big Kevin. At this point, I feel like, as far as voice work goes and so on and so forth, you are like a living legend.
Thank you.
You know, I mean, you have done so many of the voices that we're all familiar with, so many of the voices that many of our listeners grew up with. And yeah, you know, like I never, every time I've spoken to you, and I've spoken to you a number of times over the years, it's always been a really terrific conversation.
Thank you, buddy.
So it's
well,
always a pleasure.
Vice versa. What is starting to happen is that I've spoken to so many folks that I obviously can't remember them all. However, when I put the name with the face and I go, oh, wait a minute, I've talked to you guys. I'm getting to the place now where I get so excited to hear and see you guys again on the other side of the country. And it is
We're sort of stalking
not
you.
Fun. That's okay, stalk away. At my age, anybody with a frickin' pulse, I'm happy to have them stalk me.
At this point, like you said that you're happy to talk to everybody. Is it hard doing some of these interviews, especially when it's the first time of a person talking to you? They sort of ask the same questions that you've answered a million times over.
Yeah, well,
because I know that drives a lot of celebrities insane.
The short answer is no, because again, what it means is somebody is interested in chatting with me. Now, I am not interested in casting aspersions on other actors.
Oh, please do.
Okay, I've never been a movie star, right?
It's Maurice LaMarche.
Yes,
isn't
Mo,
it?
he's a pain in the ass. Screw you, Mo. No, I've never been a movie star. I don't know what it's like to not be able to walk across the street. Okay, so I have to qualify it. However, dude, this is what we want. The fact that you and Kev are interested in what we have to say is what we want. So if I'm bent out of shape because somebody who hasn't spoken to me before asks a question I've been asked 50 times, it's the first time that person has asked the question.
Right.
And the first time their listeners have heard them ask that question. So if I don't want to be bothered, then I should get the fuck out of my job. I shouldn't do this anymore. I love my work. And you guys help spread the joy to a lot of other people. The day that I get tired of answering the same questions, I hope Big Kev beats the living Christ out of me, because it's the day that I shouldn't be doing this anymore. I'm a lucky, lucky man. And just here's a quick anecdote, and it just happened. I'm walking over here to Javits Center, which is too small for this event anymore. Everybody's jammed in. This is the slow day.
Yes.
And we're packed. All right. So as I'm coming over here, I'm going, oh my God, I'm not sure where I'm going. I'm looking at the numbers. Okay, whatever. So just as I'm starting to get not angry, I'm going, oh my God, I don't want to miss the opportunity to talk with you guys. Okay. Just as I'm getting frustrated with how do I find this, I see a young man in a wheelchair. He's controlling with his mouth.
Oh man.
This young man has found a way to get on the bus, get dropped off here, pay his money, and then wander around in this place in a wheelchair he controls with his fucking mouth. What business do I have of getting upset about anything? So you guys have given me the opportunity to come here, and in that space of time that I walked from my autographing booth where people have been waiting for hours, I learned a lesson. And it was shut up. It was move on with your beautiful life. 2 people are going to talk to you, and that just happened 10 minutes ago. So I am beyond grateful to be here, and thank you for the opportunity.
I wish more people who are of celebrity status, a lot of them are very cool and they're very accommodating. But, you know, just like in any kind of group, you get a handful that have been doing this so long, they just don't want to do it anymore. And to have that kind of humbling moment really, I think, grounds you as a person.
I'm telling you.
And actually will help you as a celebrity when people know that are like, you know, I know that story. He's told it on a podcast before. I saw an interview with him when he told this story.
Yeah.
He goes, he's a really cool dude. You know, when he's getting frustrated and aggravated or something like that, you got to give him cut him a little slack, because you know at the core what that person's about.
Thank you, Eric. Well, the fact is that any of us who are fortunate enough, I mean, you guys do something that you love, about which you're passionate.
Right.
You know, I've been rich and I've been poor, and rich is better, and I like having a lot of money. I certainly make a nice living. I am by no stretch of the imagination a super wealthy movie star kind of guy. I do great, but I love what I do. You guys love what you do. Comic-Cons are all about passion.
Right.
And if somebody says, wow, that guy Rob Paulsen was a pretty decent guy. Well, you know what? Jim Cummings is a decent guy. Tress MacNeille is fantastic. Nolan North is great. Kevin Conroy is decent.
Name dropper.
Oh, I got it. Bob De Niro told me I got to stop that.
And I like that Kevin Conroy is decent.
Oh yeah, he's not an asshole. He's just a little asshole. No,
He's less of an asshole when he's Batman.
Right. Oh my. Oh, just a few minutes ago, because his audience, the people are standing in line, 100 deep. He stood up on his chair and said, "I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman." And he said it in freaking Gotham City. And I'm standing there getting goose pimples, 10 feet away.
Did the crowd erupt?
Oh, they freaked. That's what this is about, And
You're getting your money's worth before you even pay.
That's what this is about. Look at this guy.
This gentleman is what it's about.
The fact that he can dress like that and not have the shit beat out of him is great.
There's a 6.5-foot guy dressed
with a beard.
as strawberry shortcake who just walked by us.
With a beard, he says, "Yeah, I'm strawberry shortcake. What the fuck are you going to do about it?"
Right.
Anyway, thank you, buddy. It is a joy.
Well, let me try the other side of the coin
Yeah.
then, because you've been doing interviews and stuff for so long. Are there any questions that nobody has asked you that you always wondered, or like, will they ask me about this, or something that you maybe want to talk about and they didn't?
No, I honestly, I'm always surprised, and I always do try to take every question with the attitude that, like, well, this person wants to know, and I want to, give them. When people ask me, they don't ask me often about what else I would be doing.
Right.
And so if I am by extension asking that question for you, I think that if there was something else that I could do that would make me as jonesed about my work, it would be probably being a fighter pilot, a jet fighter pilot, because I love planes, I love cars, I'm a total gearhead, born and raised in Detroit and Flint. I would be either a Formula One driver, an F-22 fighter pilot, or a pro golfer. They're completely different ends of the spectrum. I used to say pro hockey player.
Well, a lot of pilots do play golf.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I've done a lot of pilots, not physically, if you catch my drift. I don't do them. I perform in them.
Look, there's time for everything.
That's
You still have a lot of years ahead of you.
We're close to Chelsea. So, yeah, that's Kevin laughing at my poorly chosen joke. But yeah, fighter pilot, Formula One driver, or professional golfer. Yeah.
But you don't have a lot of time for those things because you got the big live show.
Hey, man, thank you. How's that? That's, ladies and gentlemen,
Silly
the broadcast
rabbit, segues
business,
are for kids.
That is called a professional segue.
No, it's called He Read the Prep Sheet in My Hand.
God bless.
That's what it is.
Well, you know what? Randy Rogel and I, as a result of the largesse of Warner Brothers licensing, we got a great deal by which we are able to perform the music of Animaniacs live and use video clips all over the world. And we're doing it Sunday night.
Wait, you're paying the royalties to the music?
No, we got it for free.
Wow, that's great.
Thank you, Warner Brothers. That is a rare thing. But they know that Randy and I not only treat it with respect, but we're the guys who wrote it and performed it originally.
It probably went something like, all right, we'll let you do it, but down the line, we may ask you for a favor.
Exactly right.
And,
And you know what, though, Kev? I hope they do. Because if we are able to conjure up substantial interest, then Warner Brothers would have every right, and I would want them to be involved. Because the show that Randy and I can provide, either with a piano or with an orchestra, is really entertaining. It's nostalgic, the music is timeless. You guys can watch it now with grown-up eyes, and you'd go, oh my God, I never got that cultural reference. Right. But if Warner Brothers puts their dough into it, it'll be an arena show. Yeah.
The stuff that I've seen from the live show, which, by the way, it's touring around the country.
Yeah.
Real quick, where can people find information about it and get tickets?
Animaniacsinconcert.com.
Animaniacsinconcert.com.
It may still be, they're switching the website. It could still be animaniacslive.com. But it is out there, and all our tour dates, we've already done 8 or 10 of them. We got another 10 or 12 booked.
Right.
The next one is this Sunday at Joe's Pub. Here in Manhattan.
Which is sold out, by the way.
Sold out. Not a big room, but huge credibility. That's
right.
The sort of room where Sting is in town and says, I want to try out a song, and he goes there. So we're very lucky. We put it up, and I'll be damned, we sold that place out in a couple of weeks.
Wouldn't it be great that, this tour runs its course, it's a success. Warner Brothers wants to expand it, maybe go, international with it or something like that. And Animaniacs Live is at Carnegie Hall.
Oh, man. I just passed it.
All the jokes you guys used to make about Carnegie Hall in the store, and now you're doing it at Carnegie Hall.
I came by.
Potentially.
The driver was taken to my hotel room last night. Jamie, great guy. We're chatting in the, oh man, my kids, they fucking love Animaniacs. Oh, no kidding, that's great. And he was having a ball. Driving down, and sure enough, we're on 57th Street, and there's Carnegie Hall. And I'm like, man, one of these days it's going to happen. And every time Randy and I do this show, if it's like it's going to be at Joe's with the two of us and a piano, the audience goes crazy. If it's with the two of us and 80 pieces like it was in Denver, the audience goes crazy. And it will be 10-year-olds and 70-year-olds. And the response to the music and the nostalgia and the cleverness is universal. How lucky am I that we have a fan base who are your age and then to the extreme on either side of the age spectrum. It's really, really cool. We are in such a sweet spot right now.
Do you think if it gets to that point where you're kind of getting into venues like Carnegie Hall, do you think then they bring back George and Ringo? And, it's the whole band back together?
Man, well, Tress and Jess are here this weekend, and that is very rare, just to have all three of us autographing stuff. They may show up on Sunday. They'll probably come out and say hello and, maybe sing a song. The thing that's really great about our show, that is Randy and I, is that if Jess and Tress are there, it's great. If Maurice is there, we can find a way to work the brain and Pinky into a show. If they're not, just the stories about how these songs got written, and the folks will hear half a dozen songs that never made it to the show.
Right.
And that's what they hear at every live Animaniacs concert. Songs that never made it, and your mind is blown because you think, Randy Rogel wrote that in an afternoon.
Who rejected that?
Who rejected that? And because you hear that stuff, man, and you can't go, how can that be the B team? No, it's a remarkable thing.
Well, there's always, especially with the resurgence of 90s culture, there's always room that if Warner Brothers really wants to take a shot at it, that you guys do those songs that were not released, put a new album out on iTunes, something like that, and it'll reach the top of the charts.
There are quite a few, I think, heavily weighted rumors floating around about an Animaniacs reboot with the original cast. And the reason I say that they're heavily weighted is because the last one, I think it was in May, at the end of May.
Yeah, I think that's when I heard
it. Right, was a blurb with Mr. Spielberg's name all over it. Two things I know, having had the great good fortune of working with Mr. Spielberg on more than one occasion. If a blurb comes out with Mr. Spielberg's names on it, it's because it's okay. If he doesn't want it, there would have been a retraction immediately. So I can only assume that they're, as a result of the incredible success of Animaniacs on Netflix, that they're looking at this going, wow, we know what Randy and Rob are doing. We know that Maurice and Rob go do Pinky and the Brain. We know that Tress and Jess and Rob can all do Yakko, Wacko, and Dot, and Rob can still sing that United States, Canada, Mexico, Panama.
Right.
So maybe we should talk about this. I would not be surprised.
It's weird to hear that Spielberg has some kind of pull in Hollywood.
The king of Hollywood. And going back to sort of tangentially what we were talking about earlier about people who are difficult, the people who could screw with you, the people
Kevin Conroy you mentioned.
Right. The people who are in the position in which they could make your life difficult, or could say, don't ask me that fucking question, or could say, I'm here, you got me 2 minutes. 2 minutes are up, I'm out. Those people don't behave that way. Mr. Spielberg being a perfect case in point. So then that begs the question, if I start to behave that way, and a guy like Steven Spielberg does not, what the hell is my problem? I've learned at the feet of the masters, these people who could be that way do not behave that way. So I'm in good company.
One thing I wanted to point out, and please, this is a compliment, when seeing the footage from the live performances that you and Randy do, it's in the realm of Eric Idle.
Oh,
thank you. When he would take, because he wrote it, for those who don't know, he wrote the majority of the songs for Monty Python. Neil Innes.
Neil Innes,
right. They would write, and it's sort of that vibe with Neil on the piano and Eric performing, or Eric playing others.
That is a high compliment. Thank you.
Watching some of the footage where you guys, it's just you and Randy and switching back and forth, And I'm like, that feels very Python-esque, and it feels
you.
very Eric Idle. I don't know if that's what you were going for, or if that's just how you lucked into it.
No, thank you. I can't say that it was something that we were looking for specifically, but that is a high compliment, because what we're finding out, it's really interesting. What we find out is, people love the big show with the orchestra. And obviously, as a performer, when you're standing in front of 80 pieces like that, it's difficult to express how overwhelming it is.
Yeah, that and intimidating, yes,
oh my
exactly.
God, it's beautiful. The cool thing is that all these world-class flautists and oboists and tuba players and timpanists, string players, all love Animaniacs. So they see piles of sheet music and they're crying because they're playing music they grew up listening to. But when we get to do Randy and Mina piano, there is something that is so cool and so intimate. We can ask questions and respond to the audience in real time. And there is a special quality about that, like 1,800 guests and under, that is really cool. And I love that. I love that it's like Eric and Neil or the Rat Pack a la cartoons. It's very low key, and it's a great way to explain how all these songs came to be. So thank you for that. That is a huge compliment. I love that it reminds you of that.
So when the tour wraps, how much longer is on the tour?
Oh, we're going to be doing it until one of us dies or they tell us that we can't do it. So we're booking dates now. We have them already booked into 2 or 3 months into 2018.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's an incredible tour.
I'm hopeful that we're going to keep, and mind you, Kev, it's not every week.
Right.
But we're doing, I think, 3 in October.
Right.
One of which is a 3:30 and a 7:30 show outside of Chicago. We're doing Arlington, Texas, Tucson, Joe's this weekend, and then Chicago. And those are all, I think, in October, November.
Right.
Yeah.
And the reason I asked was because, you're still working.
Oh, yeah.
So, to find the time to get your actual work done and then to go off and do these gigs.
Well, it is a challenge. But it's a challenge that I completely embrace because, like every other actor, especially a journeyman guy like myself, we're here in New York. And one of my favorite movies is Pride of the Yankees, in which Gary Cooper as
Super
Lou
Duper.
Gehrig.
Yes.
Yeah, Super Duper. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, putting on the Ritz. As Lou Gehrig said when he contracted what came to be known as Lou Gehrig's disease, and when he had to retire, and he was at Yankee Stadium, and he said, a lot of people say I've been given a raw deal, but today I feel like the luckiest man on the face of the earth. That's how I feel every day, and how people want to, you guys we become friends. It's not like, oh, those guys, we're buddies, I know these guys. And
I just want to point out he touched me, and that just made my day.
Yeah, in a way that is not felonious, but the day's not over. No, man, if I've got too much work, trust me, I'll figure it out.
Well, I've talked to most of the cast of The Simpsons.
Oh, and Nancy,
and Hank Azaria and Nancy would say sometimes because of other projects they're working on, whatever, they've got it down where they have software on their phones and hook the mic for. Then they record scripts from their hotel rooms and send it over to Gracie Films.
And nobody wants to miss work.
Yeah.
Nobody. That is the mentality that all of us have.
It's interesting how far technology has come. Back, 20 years ago, you had to be somewhere in a city that had a professional studio to record that and then mail those tracks out to whatever project you were going if you weren't all together. Now, it's sort of a rarity that the whole cast is together recording.
Yeah, and I have to say, as an old school guy, I much prefer being with the other actors. The high tide raises all boats.
You can always tell. A lot of people would say, if you're just watching an episode of an animated television show or a movie or whatever, just to watch it, you may not notice it. But if you're a real fan and you're really passionate about these things, you can tell the cadence is separate. Like, you don't feel the give and take exchange.
You, Eric.
Yeah.
The fact that you can hear, you're absolutely right. I'm telling you, it is the absolute truth.
There are times where, I'm a lifelong Simpsons fan, still to this day, right? But in those earlier years, and I'm not one of those guys saying the first 10, 12 years were better and the show sucked.
No.
But I'm just saying you can point out when Dan Castellaneta and Harry Shearer are doing Homer and Burns back and forth. you feel the flow and how they're reacting to what is being said and the situation
in real time,
and the energy,
yes.
as compared to now, where you hear Mr. Burns speak, and then there's sort of a transition to that, and you can tell they're not in the same room.
You are spot on, and that's another question.
I'm really being very dorky about it.
Kevin told me so. He's going to ask a stupid question about it, and tell him he's full of shit. I don't think you are, but. People do ask me that question a lot. Is there a difference? And that is a question in which I will say almost verbatim what you say.
Yeah. Because also, too, if you guys... Like, one of the best things about animated stuff is when they put out the extras.
Oh, my God.
Or your commentating tracks, right? Where you're reviewing the episode. But when you guys can go off script and because you're a little punch drunk or whatever and you're having fun, sometimes they're like, you know what, that take was better than what was written there. They send it over, it gets approved, and go, you know what, that's now in the show when it wasn't written there.
100% correct. There's nothing else. You're
all right, beat it.
The money.
We're done.
No, I'm done. You nailed it, pal. Yeah.
No, and I think I noticed that in particular in your work. I think I noticed that the most, I would say, probably in Pinky and the Brain.
Oh, Maurice,
because
we feed off each other.
Yeah, so well, and I think you can tell the difference. Like Eric was saying earlier about having everybody together versus having it apart, and I think that is so. I think well represented by Pinky and the Brain.
It is,
because that stuff just seemed like. And again, I don't want to pile heaps of comparisons on you, but that Abbott and Costello vibe
wasn't. What a genius! And that was actually Cole Stratton, who's a dear friend of Mo's and mine. Who he and his partner, I will remember her name. Forgive me. Maybe remember it later. But anyway, they put together Sketchfest in San Francisco. And Mo and I were up there doing an afternoon with Pinky and the Brain. And he said, how about doing Who's on First? It was a genius idea. And it works perfectly.
Oh, yeah.
And, of course, with Maurice, he is so gifted. And we know each other's timing so well. Whether we've got a Pinky and the Brain script or we're just riffing as Pinky and the Brain, it's effortless, and it's pretty freaking entertaining regardless, for both of us too.
Right.
But thanks for noticing that. I love it.
That's I pick up on that vibe, and you can't get that kind of vibe if the two of you
Janet Varney
are not together.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry, Janet, if you hear this. I know that I love you, and you are welcome to smack me, which I would actually would spank me. I would prefer that.
You've just been unbooked for next year now.
Yeah. Sketchfest here. Just wanted to tell you you're not coming.
Oh, sorry, we ran out of
Janet
slots.
Varney, you will know because she was on Legend of Korra.
They're going to pull a Flintstones on you where you get the guy that doesn't even sound like Yakko.
Yeah.
And that's the guy while the rest of the cast is still intact.
Yakko water. Hello, nurse. Hello, nurse. What? Where you go? What's the matter with you? Hey? What's the matter with you? Go to the water tower.
Fake Yakko.
Isn't that your Darkwing Duck character?
Yeah, I did a character on Darkwing Duck called Steelbeak. Yeah,
Steelbeak.
I'm Steelbeak here. What's the matter with you? Freaking idiot.
The live tour, obviously fantastic. If you can get tickets, definitely go and see it. And if it builds up more, maybe one day you can do one of those concert movies.
I would love
where you record the whole thing, like at a Carnegie Hall or somewhere special, the Hollywood Bowl, something like that.
That is our goal.
Yeah.
And as a kid who grew up in Michigan, wanting to be a live performer, and my dreams come true daily.
Right.
The Hollywood Bowl that's the dream, and it's going to happen. We'll figure it out.
I want to just ask you one more thing about Animaniacs, but then I want to talk about your podcast, which I'm a big fan of. So Animaniacs comes out, right?
Yeah.
And it was on Fox, the Fox Kids, right?
Yeah.
And everyone within our age group I know watched it, but it always felt like it was like a secret. Like it wasn't as big a deal as if somebody who watched was Batman the animated series. Or the Nickelodeon cartoons, right? Even though it was prominently placed, it didn't have the merchandising and the marketing push that the other ones did.
None.
Right.
Yeah.
But so when you growing up and you're like, oh, do you remember Animaniacs? And you were kind of surprised going into the 2000s when somebody knew the songs or knew the characters or Buttons and Mindy or something like that, right? Because it then felt like a little kind of society, a little club, right?
It's like it's cool to be
and
hip to dig Animaniacs.
As time's going on and, retro stuff's coming back in from the 90s, when Animaniacs started to resurface again with what you guys were doing. The video that you did that's at Meltdown for Nerdist,
right, with Mo
where
and
you
me,
added the new countries for the
Randy Rogel wrote the new countries,
the new country song.
Thing got like 3 million views.
It
in a couple
blew
of
up,
days,
and you go, "Oh my God, more people knew about this than you thought." You thought this was just a small little thing, and it's weird because even when Animaniacs was out, and it was overshadowed by Tiny Toons a bit, and again, a fan of that property as well, but more so, I think, for me with Animaniacs. But then you were still overshadowed by the legacy of Looney Tunes. The old stuff, the stuff they were making then and even up to now, maybe with the exception of Space Jam at the time, wasn't getting the big mass appeal that it used to, but those old cartoons were still on all over the place, and that was still a big shadow over these new properties for the Warner universe there, if you want to call it that. And I always just felt that Animaniacs wasn't getting its fair due or recognition because it was still being overshadowed. To put it in wrestling terms, when Hulk Hogan's still going over and the new guys aren't getting the push, that's what it kind of felt like. That was super nerdy. I was covering all my nerd bases there.
That's great.
But now it's getting a chance to really breathe and stand on its own, not just as a retro property, but thanks to Netflix, with it all getting on there, that new younger generation, like you just said, from 7 to 70, when you see young kids watching this, like, that cartoon's 20 years old. How are you a fan of this? Netflix really opened the door, and now, fortunately or unfortunately, how you look at it, 20 years later, is really Animaniacs' time to shine.
But you know,
merchandising is coming out there. The music is being downloaded again.
Huge, and thank you very much. And I'll tell you, my theory, and the reason that it's happened this way, is because people your age and a bit younger were watching Animaniacs, and the songs are clever, Yakko, Wacko, and Dot, Dr. Scratch and Sniff, all that. But absolutely not everybody got all the hip cultural references, the sort of dirty jokes, okay? That was utterly by design. And it did not have the merchandising the merchandising aspect Batman, Ninja Turtles, other things I was working on at the time had now, that it does now. But now those people have grown up. And so you have all these folks that come up to see Randy and me, who are now 30, 35, 40, and they go,
Keep going, you're close to Eric's age.
Okay, well, listen,
45,
I'm 61.
50.
I have so many people that come up and say, I watched this when I was in high school or college or whatever, kind of forgot about it, and now my nieces and nephews love it, and I'm watching it again going, this is freaking amazing.
I'm awesome.
Right? And they love watching it, and it's not Teletubbies, and they don't want to shove a gun in their mouth. So the genius of Tom Ruegger and Steven Spielberg and Gene McCurdy is born out 20 years later because this was utterly by design.
You were hiding the jokes for adults so they could watch it with their kids and not be bored with it.
Exactly.
But you were, and hiding it from the kids. But you also weren't talking down to the kids.
Never.
It was like, hey, kids, you'll elevate to this level. Just come along and then you'll learn while we're doing this.
Rule 1, and I remember this legitimately, as absolutely verbatim. Rule 1 was we do not condescend to the audience. And it was not a product-driven success. This show was a cultural and even artistic success, Peabody winning, Emmy winning, unqualified success, despite no merchandise. It was not a half-hour commercial to sell action figures.
The only merchandise I remember were some Happy Meal toys and a couple of pins. That was it.
And if you go to the Warner Brothers stores, a few T-shirts and a few overpriced items, a key fob that would be $18. But the show was a success without that. So here we are now talking about it, and I still do it every day, and everybody loves it. Hey, God, look, it's me and Kevin and Eric, and we're laughing all day long. But the audience loves it, regardless of the fact that they don't have Animaniacs action figures from 25 years ago.
Well,
it's fantastic.
Two things I wanted to add was, one, I heard that the prices were so high because the voice guys demanded a really big
we get
kick.
a taste.
So
there's a little VIG on the side. Yeah, that's exactly right.
And the second thing was, we were talking about the references and so on and over. I think that also works in reverse. Like, for example, right in the opening number, you have Bill Clinton plays the sax. So no kid probably at 7, 8 years old now knows who Bill Clinton is, but it's still hysterically funny.
It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
And that, to me, is the genius of what Tom Ruegger, Steven Spielberg, what they all put together, because they knew exactly what they were doing, you guys. This is not an accident.
Do you know, because I know they changed the last part of the president's song.
Yeah.
Because the original one was the Clinton's first name Hillary.
Right.
Saying back in the 90s she was really in charge while Bill was just the puppet. Then it got quickly changed to the Clintons, Bill and Hillary.
Yeah.
You could have brought back the original version had she won.
Sure.
And just tagged on a few more presidents right in there leading into the
I can't even imagine what Randy could do with Trump. Oh my God. We would just have a field day. But
the song just ends and everyone just walks away.
Yeah, and there's a big nuclear cloud. But I'm hopeful that we do the reboot for obvious reasons.
Yeah, like the fact that the jokes write themselves about our current president.
But the fact is, as you guys know, the fan base obviously is huge. But these conventions are popping up like zits on a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
And the deep love for Animaniacs and Pinky and the Brain alone is so big. If we could do more episodes, it would bring so much joy to people.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, really profound joy to an audience that is a span of 50 years between them. It's fantastic.
Let's shift over to your podcast, because I want to give that some attention as well. You've been doing Talking Tunes long before your new deal with Alpha.
Yeah.
You were doing it as a regular podcast version you can get on iTunes. I think the episodes are still up there. You can download those things. Where did the Alpha deal come about, and why the switch off of a free podcast behind a paywall?
Thank you for asking. That is a good question I don't often get, and I appreciate the opportunity to answer it. It, like everything else I've done in my life, like what you guys are doing, started as a labor of love. I had a slow period of time in my work, and instead of bitching and moaning, I said, well, you know what? On my phone are the numbers of pretty much any voice actor from whom any fan would want to hear, as well as writers, producers, musicians. And I'd started doing podcasts as a guest, and I thought, you know what? I don't think I have to be an MIT grad to do this.
Right.
So I started calling friends and going to visit with them and plugging in my computer. Turns out people loved hearing from the original Turtles, loved hearing from Bart Simpson, loved hearing from the Joker, who happens to be the savior of the universe as well, you know. And,
well, we'll see how much longer he lasts.
Right, exactly. And it really took off. And so I didn't make money at it. I didn't really care about that. And then I started having people like...
Speaking of podcasts, you just did Gilbert Gottfried's podcast.
I did. It was a blast.
Yeah.
We had a ball.
I want to hear that one too.
But I had people like Chris Hardwick was on my podcast after Maurice and I were on the Nerdist podcast. And one thing led to another, and about 6 months ago, sweet girl at Nerdist named Liz Bonsack had been working at Defy Media. And I had gone in to be a guest on one of the Defy shows. She got hired at Nerdist, sent me an email one day and said, hi, Rob, you may not remember me, but I'm now at Nerdist. Chris Hardwick and everybody were talking about maybe we should see if Rob wants to do Talking Tunes as an on-camera show as part of this new pay service called Alpha, Project Alpha. And in the meantime, Nerdist and Geek and Sundry had been acquired by Legendary Pictures as part of their digital media group.
Right.
So
Geek and Sundry was what's her name's property?
Yeah.
The redhead.
Felicia.
No, Felicia Day.
Day.
Right. And so they joined forces.
I've forgotten about her, Eric. I'm completely over her now.
Sorry.
He had
I'm
a
not
big
Felicia.
thing for her for many
Thank
years.
You. So they said, now here's the deal. It's going to be whether $3.99 or $4.99 a month, but it's not just for your podcast, your show. We're going to do your show on camera because they, like me, and the fan base feels there's something kind of magical about seeing humans with those iconic voices coming out.
It's never, I don't want to say it's unsettling, but you're never used to it.
No, and it's never not entertaining.
When you see Billy West on camera, when you see any of the Simpsons on camera and doing it, I've had, like I said, we've talked to most of the Simpsons cast. When Hank Azaria is there doing it in front of you, it's like, I can't process it in my mind that voice is coming from that person.
It is a cool thing to witness. When I was a kid, it was Mel Blanc being on The Tonight Show. And when he'd start riffing as Porky Pig or Daffy Duck or whomever, Johnny Carson would lose his shit.
Yeah.
So they at Nerdist and I know that there was something to the on-camera-ness of it, which I had not explored. They gave me a great opportunity, and so now, yes, my show does require whatever it is, $3.99 or $4.99 a month. They give you a 30 or 60-day free thing to try it out. But there will be, I believe, a free audio version coming out down the road under the Nerdist wing.
Well, I was going to ask under the paywall there, because you have the video component, but did it, sort of like Patreon.
Yeah.
When you pay for that, you get an exclusive Patreon feed where you get the audio that's not regularly available. You said there's a free version coming out, but right now under that paywall, you get the visual. Do you get an audio version through a feed as well?
I don't think so yet. So what I think is coming is that, and also it has to be clear that you're getting more than Talking Tunes with Rob Paulsen under the paywall, behind the paywall. It's, the thing with Matthew Mercer. It's the improv.
We're all frozen.
I know. I'm sorry. You're yelling at me, folks who are listening to this, because it's so great. I'll remember. But
right, Talking Tunes and additional content.
Yeah, just check out. Go to projectalpha.com, and Eric is looking it up right now. It's I'm old, and I just had Matthew on my podcast, and we were talking about it. Critical Role.
Okay.
Critical Role, and it's huge. It's got millions of fans. So Nerdist has 2 million followers, right? And so does Geek and Sundry. So it's not like you're just getting one thing. There is a lot of really exclusive content that is very worth it, but there will probably be a free audio strip of mine coming too. Trust me, the amount of money that I'm making to do this as a live action thing is not a lot. But what it does do is feed a bigger beast that allows me to come to more places and do more stuff.
Right.
And I'm grateful for it.
I apologize for the noise. Apparently the people over at Marvel think that they're more
important
dare
they?
than speaking to Rob Paulsen right now.
It is both the positive and negative of our location.
Hey, man.
Positive because we get a nice flow of traffic. Negative because we're literally spitting distance from Marvel. And
yeah.
I've tested that theory.
Well, thank you, buddy.
Yeah, you see some of the things they're doing over there.
Yeah.
It looks like when Joan of Arc was doing the workout in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure in the mall there. That's what's going on over there. It's like it's annoying, but you can't look away.
Excellent.
People are in tights and they look fantastic.
That's a good one, Eric. I like that one.
So anyway, the Talking Tunes, the video version of the podcast, you find it on Project Alpha. You can sign up there. There is some other great programming there that I've been starting to explore, but one of the guys on there I've been a fan of for a while, Zach Sherwin.
Oh, sure.
Where his show called Watch Your Language.
Yeah.
I've been a fan of his from Epic Rap Battles of History.
Guy.
And then his educational rap albums.
Yeah.
You know, you sit there and you go, this is beyond complex. Right. Like, he looks at words like mathematicians look at numbers.
Right.
You know?
And that is the kind of stuff you get for your couple of American dollars. And what I also love is that it does encourage smart, thoughtful, creative young people to use all these platforms.
Right.
And look, I'm not going to, I wasn't going to charge $1 for my podcast, but now we have a 4-camera HD professional quality on-camera show. Ron Perlman just called yesterday. He's going to be on. Kevin Conroy's been on. Billy's been on. Mo's been on.
There's a clip out there, you can find it, of you and Tara Strong.
Oh, Tara.
Where you did
From the Big Lebowski.
You did Bubbles and Yakko doing not Yak. Was it Yakko or was it was Steelbeak? Right?
Oh, Steelbeak from the Big Lebowski.
Steelbeak and Bubbles reenacting a scene from the Big Lebowski.
Yeah.
And this mashup concept that you have of you taking your characters and putting them in a world normally whoever owns the license doesn't want them involved with. Like, don't you dare do a Disney character doing a line from Goodfellas or something like that.
We have a blast.
It's an amazing concept to one, see you guys do the voices, and two, the content is not the content that goes with those voices.
Yeah, and it's great fun, and it's different, and it's taken something that I still do as a labor of love to a much different level, and it reaches a lot more people. I was averaging about 40,000 downloads on my audio podcast, and now I have access to a couple of million. And the fact that I can draw then more attention to the Animaniacs concerts, more people want to talk to me like you. And of course, I'm a capitalist, and I like to make a living doing what I love to do. But the fact is that as my audience grows, all it does is make people happy. And what the hell is wrong with that? If it costs $4 a month, then wait for the free version. We'll figure it out. That's me.
As we wind this thing down here, obviously we've been talking about the Animaniacs live concert, the Talking Tunes podcast on Project Alpha you can go check out. But you already mentioned that about the future fan base, finding all these projects and enjoying it, and more generations to come will enjoy the stuff that's going on. The other side of that, future generations doing voice work.
Yeah.
What do you think about people coming up? Are people still interested in doing voices?
I think what's happening, Eric, is it's more people coming up that specifically want to just be voice actors. Everybody who are my peers, Cummings, Conroy, Hamill, Tara, Tress, Jess, all of us started doing live performing. In my case, I was a singer who became an actor. Jimmy was a musician who became an actor. Kevin was an actor who became a voice guy. So we all started traditionally performing-wise. But now, as a result of your show, my show, all this other access, people say, wow, I want to specifically be a voice actor. And so there are all these new opportunities and methods by which you can learn from people who've been doing it for 30 years, like my podcast. And you're hearing from people who know what they're talking about, because they're not just trading off something they did 20 years ago. I did Animaniacs 20 years ago, but I did Rick and Morty 20 hours ago. And I'm still doing it. So if you can learn from people who know what they're talking about and they're doing it right now and tomorrow, that's a huge boon. So in my estimation, the opportunities for new things that we don't even know about yet that require voice work, music, singing, writing, is going to be bigger than I can even imagine.
Yeah, my first exposure actually to Maurice was the Young Comedian
How about
special
that? Rodney Dangerfield.
on HBO.
Yeah.
And and I've never forgotten.
And that was pay TV.
Yeah, and that was a very long time ago.
Yeah.
I think ERIK
and
was
Mo
in college then.
had done a very asshole. He's a big asshole, but he'd only done a few little things. Little did we know that he's now won primetime back-to-back Emmys for Futurama, regardless of Pinky and the Brain. So it's a crazy cool thing, and there's going to be a lot of opportunity for people.
I think it's really cool that you do see a future of this.
Oh, absolutely.
Because yours is a very niche industry.
It's getting bigger, though.
It is, but even like with radio or with television, it seems like a big industry, but really it's a very small industry. Because when you leave one company, you wind up going to another company with people you've worked at other companies.
All the time.
And your talent pool even smaller because you guys have perfected what you do, and you're been tested, and you're the go-to guys for a lot of projects. But it's great to see in this aspect that there are people coming up that want to keep this tradition going, because there's a lot of other businesses and other old traditions that are falling by the wayside because young people don't want to do it anymore.
No, I embrace that.
And that's not old man speak. I'm just saying that's just the way everything's progressing.
I love hearing new people coming up and new talent. It also keeps me on my toes. Look, man, I should still be able to deliver. And if I can't, then there should be somebody taking my job. That's what competition is all about. And I get better because I'm motivated to keep getting better. And I love new people.
Well, Rob, we've kept you long enough.
Oh, thank you, buddy. It's my pleasure.
The pleasure's been ours, really, sincerely. We've had a great time here with you. And, I mean, it's the chance that we got to talk to you more about you and what you do, rather than the other times when we have to talk to you about your specific project, where we have very little time to go in depth. But to learn about you,
thank you, my
buddy. And for people who've maybe never heard of Rob before and they're just discovering this now, or have never really knew about Rob's life and you're just discovering this now, that's the fun thing.
Thank you.
About
that
learning
means
this,
so much
obviously
to me.
We're all fans, and it's already built in of your work. But to learn and become a fan of you,
thank you,
is a whole other tier that really makes everything else you do that much more special.
Well, honestly, I said at the beginning, and it's the absolute truth. I am eternally grateful that folks like you, who have the opportunity to talk to a lot of people, take the time to single me out, and it really is a huge gift and not taken for granted. Thank you, Eric.
All right, now get out of here.
All right. Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you.
Yeah, and
Thanks, Kev.
I just want to say the same thing. Yeah, thanks so much for giving us the time. I mean, it's really a special opportunity. I can speak for Eric here. I think it's a really special opportunity for us to get to talk to you.
Thank you, buddy.
And you're always very gracious, and so
It is my pleasure. And good luck to the both of you. Laughter's the best medicine. The cool thing is you can't OD and the refills are free. And you guys have proven that today. And thank you very much to your audience for listening and watching and putting braces on my kids' teeth. You guys have a great show.
It's Eric Nagel at New York Comic Con.
New York Comic Con.
Back on the floor of what are you doing, singing?
Yeah, he was singing. He said, "This is the end," and I was like, he's not even paying attention.
All right.
Thank you, Giddles.
I was singing the song.
All right, we're back here on the
shut
floor
that
of New
door.
York Comic Con 2017 for It's Eric Nagel. I'm Eric. That's Giddles. That's Big Kev from Big Kev's Geek Stuff, who's been gracious enough every year to let us share his booth for when we've done shows from here and now doing interviews from here.
Yes.
Sheriff's booth. This has been a second home for me. I've been like eating food on everything.
One of these
putting
years
my
we're
feet
going to
up.
have to financially
it's been
contribute.
fantastic.
Hold on. I have to point out Giddles here, who comes into the booth in the morning with his giant breakfast sandwich and sets himself atop one of the prizes I'm giving away and just starts eating.
On one of the prizes?
Yeah,
it was on the Buffy.
the Vampire Slayer box.
It was
He's
right
just
at
sitting there eating.
It was at a good height.
Explain what the Buffy thing is.
Quarter scale Buffy statue from Sideshow Collectibles, which we're giving away here at the convention.
If you don't know Sideshow Collectibles, look them up. They're high-end.
High-end.
High quality.
Oh, yeah.
So don't freak out when you see stuff is like $500 and higher.
Oh, yeah.
Look at and see what you're getting for
Exactly.
it, and it's actually worth the money.
Yeah.
You're getting extra bacon grease with it this time.
There's a big ring. You should write Giddles was here.
Yeah,
I did.
now with Giddles spew all around it.
That
Worth even more money.
That bust in more ways than one.
Not a bust. Full body.
Why is it only half? It looks like a bust on the box.
The box is turned around so that you can see the full body facing out.
Oh, okay. It looks like a real doll.
Yeah, it's kind of freaky.
It is. It's freaky and alluring at the same time.
Ugh.
But anyway, that's not important.
Fraloring.
Alluring. Oh my God, Ben. Hey, how are you? Can you say hi? This is Ben Edlund, creator of The Tick.
Hey, how are you, Ben?
I'm all right. How are you?
Good.
Thanks for stopping by.
We got a chance to talk to you at San Diego for the big Tick pavilion that was there that escaped the room. And it was so exciting before anybody got a chance to see the show. Now the 6 episodes are out. The big Danger Boat exhibit's down there on the other side of the floor here. This is amazing. Did you ever think that Tick would get this kind of response?
I'm really happy. You know, that's what we wanted, but I didn't presume to expect.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so really happy that
This is so
worked out.
awesome.
great.
Congratulations,
Yeah.
man. When are the
thank
next... Look, I hate to be a fan like that, but when are the
February
next...
23rd.
There we go. The next part of,
the
of
next
season...
half. So another 6 episodes will drop.
It's been great so far.
Oh, I'm really appreciating
Love
that.
it.
You
Thank
guys are doing amazing work. Thank you so much, man. Thanks for stopping by. We appreciate it.
I didn't know I was gonna.
Hey, you.
Man, can you get a photo real quick? Wow, that was awesome. See, this is what I'm talking about.
This
being
is just
on
the kind
floor.
of things that happen on the It's
On New
Eric
York
Nagel
Comic-Con.
show.
It's the kind of things that happen right here at Big Kev's Geek Stuff.
I'll edit that part out.
Oh,
Giddles.
Jesus.
No, this,
Wow,
but-
hurtful.
Ben
Burn.
Edlund just was walking by, creator of The Tick.
Yeah.
And not just what you think The Tick is on Amazon. The Tick in general.
Yeah.
The comic book series from the 80s. The cartoon series from Fox Kids in the 90s. The revamp that they did in the early 2000s with Putty. And now the new version of it on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
The first 6 episodes are out. You should definitely go check it out. But he just told us in February, the second half of the first season is going to be available.
February 23rd, he said.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Look, I know a lot of people are into what they're into. Batman, Superman, Marvel properties, whatever, Star Wars. The Tick just struck a chord with me as a little kid.
Sure.
Spoon! And it was one of those properties that I always found that was amazing, but I don't think really got its fair due. At one point they had some toy line out. I remember used to be able to get it at the old KB toy stores.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And then they had the one giant Tick figure, which I still have that one.
The talking one.
The talking one, right? But then there was really nothing else. The Tick booth is actually across diagonal for we can see here.
Yeah.
The official Tick booth of the publisher that owns the Tick rights.
I can't remember the name.
Yeah, but they're right there.
Yeah.
And, it was very hard to find a T-shirt back in the day or
Sure.
anything. And I just loved the Tick growing up so much. If you don't know what this is, it was a blue guy that would yell "spoon." That was his battle cry. And that would go "spoon,"
and he's indestructible.
Yeah, you can't do anything to him. But he's the nicest person in the world. The Tick, not also Ben Edlund, but the Tick. But he's a simpleton. His brain pattern is not
correct.
It's that of a child, that full of wonder and merriment.
Right.
But he will also destroy you because he's super powerful. But that was so awesome to see Ben come walking around here.
What an exciting way to wrap up this episode.
We're not done.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, wow, so close. Almost there.
No, actually, I think we are done. Did we do Rob Paulsen? I forget at this point. I think we did.
Yeah, we
All right,
did.
you know what?
did.
Kevin, you're right. We should wrap up the show. We're not going to top this. Let's go around and do the plugs. Giddles, what do you got?
Giddlebase on the Twitter, Instagram, and Xbox Live. Add me. Check out my Comic-Con pics and all that fun stuff.
On your Instagram, right?
On the Instagram, yeah.
Right. Big Kev?
You can check us out over at bkgeekstuff.com each and every week. Me and, what's his name, OG.
All right. Mr. Matt Seeks?
Matt Seeks.
Yeah, Mr.
If he escapes the Cancun.
Yeah. I was because
Don't call him Rush. He hates that.
What does that mean?
I can't tell you.
Okay.
All right. Well,
is that
we know his new
is that a little
nickname.
in story for Geek Stuff?
I can't tell you anything, sir.
Okay. Out in California for San Diego, I started calling him Mr. Matt Seeks. But now, thanks to Funko and their new exclusive, I want to call him Crebopulous Matthew.
Oh, yes, Crebopulous Matthew. He just loves killing.
He just loves killing. Anyway, for the show, it's Eric Nagel across the board. The show is available anywhere you can find podcasts. iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher even. I know a lot of people use Stitcher. Amazon Echo, you just say, Alexa, play the program It's Eric Nagel. And it should be doing it now. It'll play the most recent episode to date. We're on TuneIn. We have a couple other things. I don't know if we made the announcement at this point for the first stage. If we didn't, then I'm not going to spoil it. If we did, you already know it, so don't worry about that.
I don't know it.
I'll tell you after the
All
show.
right.
So subscribe to the show anywhere you can, and leave us a review. If you like what we're doing, it really does help us, especially with iTunes. Subscribe, leave a review, and tell two friends, as we like to say, so that they can tell two friends. And what is that?
Tyrion Lannister.
Oh, my God. She does a good Tyrion Lannister.
She does.
She's looking at me all kind of freaked out.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, how old do you think she is? Like 50?
I maybe, yes.
That's not.
She is a tiny
that
person.
is that is not real red hair.
I don't think
That's
so.
all I'm saying. All right. Anyway, we gotta get out of here. EROC Radio for me across the board, social media. You can see our photos of everything from Comic-Con, and that's it. Next time we will be back with Matt OG, back from Cancun. We can find out what's going on for him.
Maybe.
Well, maybe.
No, he's in a hurricane.
Oh, that is true. He was dealing with a hurricane down there. And because he is now Crebopulous Matthew, he may have killed everybody.
That's
Probably.
true.
We don't know. So I'm sure he'll have some stories either way. And that's it. So, Kev, you want to do the out?
And with that, Eric, we will bring this episode of It's Eric Nagel to a close.
What were you going to say? It's Matt Cipoletti? It's Crebopulous Matthew.
We will bring this episode of It's Eric Nagel to a close the way we end some episodes by saying,
we'll be seeing you.
It's Eric Nagel. And that's all the time we have. Follow the show at It's Eric Nagel on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Unless we do something stupid or something better comes along. We'll be back next time.